जैसे आज हम चला रहे हैं ये यूजुअली क्लोज सर्किट में चलती है गाड़ियाँ एंड ये काफ़ी फास्ट होती है, अप टू 240 किलोमीटर्स पर आ जाती है एंड 15 साल की उम्र के बाद हमें इस गाड़ी को चलाना अलाउड होता है, इसलिए मैं 15 साल की हूँ और मैं दूसरी बार चला रही हूँ ये गाड़ी। तो आई थिंक कश्मीर में ये बहुत अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी है क्योंकि मैं खुद हिमाचल से हूँ और वहाँ पे ज़्यादा ऐसे मोटर स्पोर्ट इवेंट्स होते ही नहीं, पर यहाँ पे ऑर्गेनाइजर्स आरपीपीएल और गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत मदद की है इस इवेंट को रन करने के लिए, जिससे बहुत पॉपुलैरिटी मिलेगी मोटर स्पोर्ट्स को एंड आई थिंक कश्मीर से भी और ड्राइवर्स बन सकते हैं यहाँ के शो रन को देखकर।
I'm driving Rotax Senior, car number 62. This goes about 125 on the straights, and it is 32 horsepower car. And it feels really very great to be driving over here in Srinagar. And I would like to thank RPPL and JK for organizing this event. Really grateful. And first time Formula cars are going to be driving around Srinagar. It'll be very exciting and very fun, and the locals will love it.
All right, the locals clearly love it. It was all happening on the Boulevard Road, on the banks of Dal Lake, and we obviously want to understand more about this. But what exactly is Formula 4? We have all heard about Formula 1, the Grand Prix, which is about racing and happens in the best of locations across the globe. But let's get in a few more details from Ishan, now joining us from Kashmir. Good morning, Ishan. How are you? You clearly, I keep saying this every time we go to Ishan, has the best job in the world, gets to the most beautiful, gorgeous places, and now doing some adventure sports as well, right there in Srinagar. So, Ishan, take us through what exactly happened and how did it unfold?
It's a spectacle to see and something which you remember forever because there are fast cars, then there are noise that the engines make and fast rowing. And when it comes to Kashmir, it's the Dal Lake, the iconic Dal Lake, where these cars and these bikes perform not only stunts but also showcase their skills. What exactly is Formula 4? It's not a championship, it's not somewhere where you get rewarded, but it's a junior entry level where it was created in 2014 to give an edge to the youngsters who want to drive fast and want to perform in the international circuit. And this is precisely being done to give that growth. When it comes to Kashmir, there are several career options, but can you ever think that the driving cars and the driving fast cars can become your career option? And that is why exactly this particular event was organized, to tell people that there is life beyond the career options that they are thinking about, and also to promote tourism. Yesterday, even Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted those images of Kashmir, where he tweeted these pictures of cars on the banks of Dal Lake of the Formula 4, saying that Kashmir is somewhere where these events could happen, and more often these events should be held in Kashmir Valley. Now, Dal Lake needs no introduction, and when it comes to Dal Lake, there are tourists flocking it every day. There were locals, including youngsters, young and old, who came there to just witness that, because there are beautiful and majestic Zabarwan mountain range which cover Dal Lake, and then there are little snow that's covering that particular part of Dal Lake where this event was organized. So all those even drivers were left, very, they were happy that they came to Kashmir and they got to perform and show their skill to a crowd which was cheering them all along, and something which they had not expected, because Kashmir comes like a different name. It comes with a different tag. But now, since the situation is improving, the government wants to ensure that they go with a different skill and they show what Kashmir has to offer. Because remember, G20 was one platform where the government tried to showcase all these things to the international, people who came to Kashmir. But now is the time when they also want to showcase the other side to the masses across the globe and also in India, to tell them that you can come to Kashmir and also see, apart from what the beauty has to offer, and kind of things like these will definitely bring boost to the local economy and help in boosting the tourism as well.
You're right. And also, it's so lovely to see women drivers over there participating and saying that they are locals. They've been practicing in Himachal Pradesh and they just hopped across and participated here in Kashmir. So quite fascinating. The visuals were there. A lot of attendance as well. So I'm sure this is a first of the many others that are about to come. Thanks, Ishan, for joining us with the very latest. from Kashmir. Moving on to something which should be a bit of a concern, if not already, for you. Now, has it ever happened to you that one morning you've woken up with excessive sweating, sometimes with a severe headache, with the blurry vision sometimes, and you don't know what to do? Also, some people say that their feet feel almost frozen, they're unable to move, and then they realize they have to rush to a hospital and figure things out. In most of these cases, when you do go to a doctor, they will end up telling you that this is hypertension. And research now shows that hypertension or high BP is not just for those above 45, which was generally the norm, which is what we thought, ek umar ke baad sabko, as in India they say sabko ho jata hai BP or diabetes in India, infamously said, all wrong facts by the way. But now, of late, younger people are seeing an early onset of hypertension. People in their 30s, some even in their 20s, some even younger, scaringly, are getting hypertensive. According to a 2018 report, 1 among 5 young adults in India suffer from hypertension, and they probably don't even know it. So, on the Breakfast Club today, let's put the spotlight on what are the symptoms of hypertension. If you have it running in your family, how can you get out of it? And what can you do if you're an existing hypertensive patient and ensure that you get out of it, you don't have to take medicines for the rest of your life. But before we move to our expert, let's just throw some statistics over there. Some 27 million young adults in India alone are affected from hypertension. And a quick note over there, this is according to the census done in 2011. So imagine what the figure is now. 30% of adults in India have hypertension. And if you thought this is an urban problem and not so much a rural problem, look at the next statistic. High BP in urban India is 34%, in rural 28%. Not much of a difference over there. And yes, men tend to get it more than women, about 4% higher over there, but that gap also bridging quite quickly. Now, early onset means that before the age of 45, people are getting it. And also, a lot of people don't have clarity on what exactly is hypertension. So, let's clear that on the program today. If your blood pressure is above 130 by 80 or is actually 130 by 80, irrespective of your age, a toddler, a young teen, a teen, adult or whoever, if your blood pressure is 130 by 80 or above, you are hypertensive. Who does generally get it? People who have higher BMI, higher body mass index. And if you've been watching the program by now, you should know what it is and how do you calculate that. Sometimes it has been said that there is an increase in dementia because of blood pressure that goes untreated for several years. But let's look at symptoms really to understand how should you get to know that you are hypertensive. Yes, genes play a role, but sometimes without that as well, some signs you must watch out for. If you have a headache, recurring headache, if you have high triglyceride levels, these are the bad cholesterols in your test, remember. If you have chest pain, if you have blurred vision, if you have excessive sweating sometimes, or you have erratic behavior, or you have massive mood swings, as they say, all of these could actually be signs of hypertension. But what's causing it? Well, genetics, like I said, play a massive role. So if your parents have been on blood pressure medicines, you are most likely to get it unless you do something about it. If your parents have diabetes or if you yourself have diabetes, you're very likely to also get hypertension. Consuming too much of alcohol and tobacco also leads to hypertension. Obesity, like we said, higher body mass index will lead to hypertension. Too much salt will lead to hypertension. And not eating enough fruits and vegetables will also lead to hypertension. Low physical activity, one of the major reasons, and erratic meal habits, not letting your body know what is the time to wake up, what is the time to sleep, what is the time I will be served meals. If you're not giving the right signals to your body, you are calling for hypertension. And as the word suggests, tension, it basically comes from stress as well. When you have imbalance in your physical and mental being and your day-to-day life. So, that's some information, but let's talk about solutions, because this right here on The Breakfast Club, we're not trying to tell you that everybody will get it, but those who do, there is a way to get out of it. And for that, we've got Dr. Vaibhav Keshwar joining us. Keshkar, beg your pardon, joining us here on the program. Good morning, Doc. He's a consulting nephrologist at the Fortis Hospital at Mulund. Doc, like I said, it's scary to see the number of young adults getting hypertension. Is that what is coming out in your day-to-day diagnosis as well? When you meet young patients, are you seeing this more and more?
Indeed. We are seeing more and more young people getting hypertension and more young people getting organ damage because of hypertension. So both the things are scary. And we just ran a survey in schools in Mumbai, Thane and Pune. So to our surprise, 7% of 8th and 9th standard students had high blood pressure.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So in
7%
of
8th
8th
and
and
9th
9th
standard.
standard
Wow.
students. So in adolescents and adults, high blood pressure is anything more than or equal to 130 by 18.
Yeah.
Younger children, we define it a bit differently, but what we with the number we get is because anything above this number will affect your organs. It will affect your heart, kidneys and brain, of course.
So this is the random survey. You went to schools and you tried to sort of get a status check on their physical health and their mental health, and this is what you found out. But
so-
what could be the reason? Why are kids in 8th and 9th standard getting it?
So I think the answer is in our lifestyle. We are gaining weight as a population. We are changing our dietary habits. We are eating more of salt, refined carbohydrates. We are not sleeping enough. I think those are the reasons.
Sleep, yes. Right, but so one issue is of kids getting it. So there is this big misinformation, like we were speaking about earlier, that once you get hypertension, you will always have hypertension. Is that true, or can it be reversed in young and old people?
It can be reversed, and the mainstay is lifestyle modification. If we lose weight, if we have less of salt, increase healthy food items, for example, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, will definitely be able to reduce high blood pressure. If we make this as our habit rather than one time like a 3-month course or 6-month crash course, I think we will be able to manage this epidemic very well.
You're saying make it a lifestyle to stay healthy. That's the
Yes,
only way
make
to
it-
fight it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having said that, there is a small population where there is underlying cause of hypertension. And unless we treat that cause, it's going to be a tough task with lifestyle modification alone. You rightly said about family history. There are certain genetic problems which can lead to hypertension. There are certain kidney problems that lead to hypertension. So we must analyze the reason of high blood pressure and work on it.
Analyze that. So those, say, who have a family history, what should they be doing to ensure that it stops here and doesn't get passed down to more generations?
So the most important is detection of hypertension. You rightly said about the symptoms of hypertension, but those are not there in majority of the cases.
That's an extreme case.
That's an extreme case. So most of these people are not having any symptoms at all. So unless we screen with a blood pressure monitor, we are not going to detect it early or able to prevent it before organ damage sets in. So a routine periodic screening, for example, every 6 months or annual check is essential. If there is any organ damage, it should be more.
But doctor, tell me this. Just one time your blood pressure popping up doesn't make a difference, right? Like so many people go to the doctor, and it is often said that just sitting in the clinic with the doctor and wondering about your health, sometimes the stress shoots up your...
That is very true.
that happens all the time. So
very
how
true.
do you detect it the right way, and does it have to be regularly high blood pressure to establish that you have hypertension?
True,
Because we know there are enough and more doctors who will just give you a pill the minute they see, one
So
reading.
ideally, we should diagnose high blood pressure only when it is persistently high for few visits. It's not one-time diagnosis. Sometimes there's something called as white coat hypertension. As you rightly said, sitting in a clinic, someone is checking my blood pressure.
White coat hypertension. I love that word.
So simply because your BP is getting checked, your BP goes up. And that's not true hypertension. So it has to be sustained hypertension across a few clinic visits, and then only you label this as hypertension.
Right. Otherwise, and the medicine also for hypertension, there are long-term side effects, right? The ones that we give. So one has to be careful.
No, I don't agree with that. Nowadays, most of the blood pressure medicines are very safe. We have decades of data, and they do not damage your organs.
Okay.
Having said that, first step in treating hypertension is lifestyle modification. We call this as non-pharmacologic therapy. Therapy without medicines. It involves weight reduction, limiting salt intake, having more of fibers, high fiber diet, exercise, avoid smoking, limiting alcohol intake.
Right.
These are all these are pills only.
I was quite amazed at the data, doctor, which said that in rural India there are so many cases of hypertension. I mean, we assume that people in rural India eat cleaner, have more physical exercise compared to us. Why is that emerging?
You know what? Even rural India is getting urbanized at a rapid pace. So they are catching up. They are eating fast food, not to the extent urban India has, but yeah, it's definitely more than what they did 20 years back. So that gap between urban India and rural India is closing.
Bridging, yeah. Interesting. So there is a white coat hypertension. Stay away from that. But we are waiting
We can't stay away there.
Can't stay away from that. But we are waiting for the day when actually we go to doctors and they just don't give us a pill right away. I think the takeaway from this conversation is that you should be aware, and please, we want more and more doctors also in the system to say that, you know, you can reverse it. You don't always need a pill for it if you are religious with the follow-up and ensure that your lifestyle is a particular way, right?
So I'll just take 1 minute of yours. So we have a group of nephrologists from Mumbai Nephrology Group. A few years back, we ran this campaign, Ek Chamach Kam. So can you spread that word? Ek Chamach Kam. So if you have
Namak ka ek chamach
exactly, and sugar and oil and maida, just 1 spoon less of that, and that will make you more healthy and stay away from hypertension.
That's nice. Ek chammach kam. That's all you have to do. Ensure that 1 spoon less of sugar, 1 spoon less of salt, 1 spoon less of maida.
That is like all the refined
carbohydrates.
Yeah,
all the refined. And that will actually translate into eating lesser. Your body actually doesn't need so much, right?
True.
And just listening to your body as well. So that's a great campaign. Good luck with that, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us right here.
Thanks.
All right, after all that conversation on hypertension, let's shift our focus to something that has been a social media sensation of late. Everybody's talking about it. It is the pink tax. It is basically tax that is more on women's items compared to men. Yes, I know it is outrageous, and if you haven't seen it, take a look at this package first, and then we'll come back to Sanjay Arora, who's the man behind it all.
Do you know that women's products of the same category are far more expensive than male products of the same size and quantity? That is pink tax, when women pay more for the same product. Let's look at a few examples of pink tax. Lip balm, same company, same size, 4.8 grams. Women end up paying 250 rupees for it, while the male pays 165 rupees for it. It's a 51.5% premium. A plain razor, women pay 80 rupees per piece, whereas the male pays 70 rupees per piece. A 75 ml roll-on deo, women pay 115 rupees for it, where the male pays 105, 9.5% pink tax. H&M plain white cotton tees. The woman pays 599 rupees for 1 tee, whereas a male pays 399. That's a 50% mammoth premium that a woman is paying. My salon guy charges me 400 rupees for a haircut, though I hardly have any hair left. But the same guy charges my wife 800 rupees, 100% premium for a haircut. I've just been able to mention a few products. I have data for lots more. You can check it out in any category. All this when women are paid 14.8% less than the male for the same job. We call them the fair sex, but we treat them very unfairly. Is it because of a male-dominated financial system designed to keep the women broke? Pink tax is subtle, not overt. Unethical for sure, but not illegal. If you're a lady watching this, share it with other women. If you're a male watching this and you care about women, share it with the ladies that you know. Please share it with as many people as you can.
Shocking, no? Why are women paying more for the same product? We really don't know. And this, of course, video got extremely viral. Everybody from Kiran Majumdar Shaw to Dr. Reddy were tweeting about it. They all put it out and said that, you know, let's just abolish these products altogether if they're going to make us pay more for the same products. So we spoke when this entire social media fiasco was going on. You'll remember Sanjay Arora has appeared before here on The Breakfast Club as well. So I gave Sanjay a call and I said, Sanjay, what next? Are there more like this? And to my horror, he mentioned something about parental tax, meaning how baby products are so extremely expensive in India and across the globe when they really don't need to, and because they're really tiny in size as well. Well, all parents will agree with what he has to say next. Watch.
Do you know, it isn't the newborn these days, but the young parents that let out the first cry? Yes, the other day I was talking to a few young friends and they mentioned that they aren't planning to have a child because it's so expensive to have a child today. That's because of the parental tax. You would have probably noticed there's a fall in the replacement rate of population not across the world but also in India. Because young couples are scared to have children now, as the cost of bringing up children has become prohibitively expensive. There was this research I was reading recently and that said that parents end up spending about 1 lakh rupees in the first year only on medication and vaccination of kids, and they spend another 50 to 60,000 rupees per month on diapers alone. In fact, kids' diapers cost about 16 to 17 rupees per piece, as against sanitary napkins which cost about 10 rupees. That's a huge 60%, 70% more than probably the same product. Another research tells us parents spend about 65% of their annual income on a child's education. Play schools and nurseries, where children spend about 1 hour, 2 hours, they charge upwards of 1 lakh rupees, sometimes 2 lakh rupees, depending on how strong the brand is. I just got checking on the prices of infants or newborns garments, and each piece is about 1,000 rupees plus. How much cloth does it take for a garment to be made for a 2-month-old baby? Shampoo for us costs about 250 rupees for 500 ml. The same for a child, an infant, would be about 1,000 to 2,000 rupees. What about soaps? We pay about 25 rupees for a bar of soap of 100 grams. The same for an infant is 60 rupees. That's more than double. If you ever have an infant fly with you on a domestic airlines, it will cost you about 1,500 rupees to carry the infant on your lap. He or she doesn't even get a seat along with. And this is less than 7 kgs. You are allowed 7 kgs of free baggage, whereas your child, your infant, has to pay 1,500 rupees. This is parental tax. That is why young couples are delaying having children, are not having children. Is this the kind of world we want to live in? Question yourself.
That is actually true. It pinches your pocket so much when you are a young parent, and it's ridiculous, some of the prices really out there, especially of clothing, of diapers, and on the airline. So valid points there by Sanjay. If you have thoughts on this, please retweet this story. It's going to be up on our social, and send us your comments as well. Are you noticing some other tax disparity or pricing disparity out there, specifically to a particular sect? Please write into us. We'll look into those details as well. All right, talking about price, talking about comparison, let's shift gears and shift tracks and talk about cars now. If you're somebody who wants to get a new car this Holi season, lots of sales are really out there, and wondering if an SUV should really make the cut, we've got the perfect comparison for you of the two top SUVs in the market, Tata Nexon EV and Mahindra XUV 400. Here's an overdrive review.
Just like the last time we drove these two EVs, we came away impressed by the presence of the Mahindra XUV 400. The Mahindra is a size larger than the Tata, and it does seem to count. Its flatter, blocky look gives you the presence you might want when you choose an SUV. The snazzy copper highlights also bring more attention to the XUV 400. While we think LED lighting should have been offered at this price, the plug motifs in the rear lighting are a neat touch. The XUV 400 is also the more practical car. It has 200 mm of ground clearance against the Nexon EV's 190 mm, while the placement of the charging port may be more useful too. Unlike many EVs, both give you a spare wheel, but the Mahindra's longer length adds to the boot space as well, giving you 378 litres against the Tata's 350 litres, although the Nexon EV does have a lower lip. But it's the Tata Nexon EV that catches your eye first. It's more than just a regular facelift, with the new bonnet and front fenders fitting in with the much sharper front. The full-width DRLs make these new Tata cars instantly recognizable, and is well tempered by the fairly discreet lighting. Specific to the Nexon EV are the chrome strakes in the air dam. These extensive changes seem to gel well with the existing bodywork. The rear is again notably refreshed with the sharp theme of the front. There are some changes to the bumper too that match the front, the vertical reflectors being the most noticeable. Now the modern minimalistic theme that you saw on the outside of the Nexon EV, that's carried over on the inside too. And to start with, you now have a fully different center stack here. And really, even with the last Nexon EV, we liked the play of materials and textures, and that continues here as well. So you have this really quite nice carbon fiber like finish, these vents, the new ones, in the way that they work, they're also quite hefty. So in that sense, it feels a bit more modern. It feels like the car that you want it to be at a price of over rupees 20 lakhs. And compared to this, the XUV 400 feels a bit more simple. There have been changes to it also. You have a few more gloss black elements. The center stack, in the way that it's designed, it is a bit more contemporary, but this really does feel even more contemporary in that sense. And again, while the XUV 400 actually does feel better made in terms of overall quality, in terms of the heft of the switch gears and some of the buttons, and especially the panel gap, they are a bit more consistent in the Mahindra. There's a more modern vibe to the space with the two-spoke steering and capacitive touch panels for the climate controls. But there is a price to pay in terms of ease of use. The Mahindra XUV 400 on the other hand feels more traditional with its greater use of beige, a sense that continues with the more rounded surfaces, while the steering wheel, which feels almost as nice to hold as the Nexon EV, gets more traditional buttons that are easier to use on the move. A highlight in both is the rich leatherette upholstery and contrast stitching. The XUV 400 is more practical on the inside too. The Nexon EV's central tunnel has been reworked. The new gear selector and switches here feel nicer to use, but you still don't get cup holders. The wireless charger is also more logically placed in the Mahindra, while there are deeper storage bins here too. The Nexon EV has a large glove box, but the Mahindra holds more things more securely in its doors. Major difference is the way the controls are. Now Mahindra has gone the old school way. There are hard tactile buttons for the new climate control function. They really are very simple to use on the move, and they are quite different. I mean, the touch panels, the capacitive ones, they look really great, especially when you shut off the car in the way that it just blanks out. But on the move, it could be a bit simpler, you know, just switching between the climate functions. Thankfully, you do have toggle switches for the main functions. But with this update, Tata now has a notable advantage over the Mahindra on the tech front, a key consideration among the quite aware buyers of these EVs. Both now get 10.25-inch driver displays, but it's the one the Tata that is easier to use. The colors are more vibrant and it's more logically laid out, although both could do with larger fonts for key information. The XUV 400 also gets a neat navigation display here, but the Nexon EV goes further by projecting Google Maps from your phone pairing here directly. The Nexon EV's advantage continues with the main central touchscreen, larger at 12.3 inches compared to the also new 10.25-inch one in the XUV 400. Aside from the larger size and both employing modern widget-based home screens, the Tata screen is again the easier one to use with its sharper touch responses and more intuitive submenus. You also get quite a bit more connectivity like the Arcade.ev suite of streaming apps. Both also give you Alexa integration as well as wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now both cars have gotten new color schemes on the inside. With this XUV 400, it's this off-white with these really quite nice copper inserts. And in the Nexon, it's that grey and white theme with the blue sort of stitching. But it must be said that in terms of outright space, and if that's your number one priority, then look no further than the XUV 400, because this is a significantly larger car than the Nexon EV. And that shows here. The wheelbase itself is 105 mm longer, and you really do notice that it's also slightly wider. So immediately you notice you have quite a bit more knee and legroom. You can tuck your feet in under the front seats in both. So yeah, in terms of space, 3 adults together fit more easily here, even though both have a central hump. Here, because of the width of the seat and just the contouring of it, The seats in the Nexon EV have been reprofiled to sort of carve out more legroom. But even with their more contoured shape, the XUV still has the edge in terms of outright comfort. So this cushioning itself feels a bit softer. You have a touch more underside support, even though the bench is quite simple and flat. Even the backrest, the cushioning we found to be a bit better in this. And then of course in terms of headroom and just the sense of space, this really is a step ahead of the Nexon EV. Now in terms of amenities here, you get a center console in both cars. And now with this update, the XUV 400 also gets rear AC vents and a Type-C charger. But in the Nexon EV, considering its very strong focus on tech, you get 45-watt charging for both front and back. Both SUVs here will give you auto headlamps and wipers, wireless charging, a single pane sunroof, 60-40 split back seats and connected tech. The Mahindra also gets dual zone climate control, but the Nexon EV has quite an edge with ventilated seats, 9-speaker JBL audio with sound mode, PM 2.5 air filter, full LED lighting and a new age V2V V2L charging function. Even though both get 6 airbags, ESC, rear disc brakes, TPMS and hill hold, the Nexon EV goes further with hill descent control and a neat 360-degree camera setup with blind view monitor. Having said that, the XUV 400 stopped at a shorter distance in our braking test by just over 2 meters.
All right. On that note, we're going to slip into a short break. But coming up on the other side, Stacey takes us through what exactly is the expectations. Is market open this morning, Stacey, after a bloodbath from last week?
Yes, you can say that, and volatility is what we're going to be looking out for. The India VIX index seeing those new rises, and that's all we're going to be telling you about, which direction the market is going to go this week and what are those cues that you need to be watching out for. All of that coming up in just a minute.
National circuit, and this is precisely being done to give that growth. When it comes to Kashmir, there are several career options, but can you ever think that the driving cars and the driving fast cars can become your career option? And that is why exactly this particular event was organized, to tell people that there is life beyond the career options that they are thinking about, and also to promote tourism. Yesterday, even Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted those images of Kashmir, where he tweeted these pictures of cars on the banks of Dal Lake, of the Formula 4, saying that Kashmir is somewhere where these events would happen, and more often these events should be held in Kashmir Valley. Now, Dal Lake needs no introduction, and when it comes to Dal Lake, there are tourists flocking it every day. There were locals, including youngsters, young and old, who came there to just witness that, because there are beautiful and majestic Zabarwan mountain range which cover Dal Lake, and then there are little snow that's covering that particular part of Dal Lake where this event was organized. So all those even drivers were left, they were happy that they came to Kashmir and they got to perform and show their skill to a crowd which was cheering them all along, and something which they had not expected, because Kashmir comes like a different name. It comes with a different tag. But now, since the situation is improving, the government wants to ensure that they go with a different skill and they show what Kashmir has to offer. Because remember, G20 was one platform where the government tried to showcase all these things to the international people who came to Kashmir. But now is the time when they also want to showcase the other side to the masses across the globe, and also in India, to tell them that you can come to Kashmir and also see, apart from what the beauty has to offer, and kind of things like these will definitely bring boost to the local economy and help in boosting the tourism as well.
You're right. And also, it's so lovely to see women drivers over there participating and saying that they are locals. They've been practicing in Himachal Pradesh and they just hopped across and participated here in Kashmir. So quite fascinating. The visuals were there, a lot of attendance as well. So I'm sure this is a first of the many others that are about to come. Thanks, Ishan, for joining us with the very latest. In a first, a roaring show of Formula 4 was held in the beautiful Kashmir Valley on Sunday. Renowned Formula drivers also enthralled spectators. The visuals will do the talking over here, so let's just play them out straight away for you. But this was the first of its kind where drivers from within the country got to showcase their skills right in Kashmir. Look at those visuals over there. Lots of stunts. Of course, with a rider, do not try this unless you are a professional. So over here, let's look at how exactly it panned out on Sunday in Srinagar.
यहाँ पे कश्मीर में श्रीनगर दल लेक के पास पहली बार फार्मूला 4 का शो रन चल रहा है एंड ये गाड़ियाँ यूजुअली रोड पे चलाई नहीं जाती पर हमारे पास थोड़े स्ट्रीट सर्किट तो जहाँ पे हम चलाते हैं जैसे आज हम चला रहे हैं ये यूजुअली क्लोज सर्किट में चलती है गाड़ियाँ एंड ये काफ़ी फास्ट होती है अप टू 240 किलोमीटर्स पर आ जाती है एंड 15 साल की उम्र के बाद हमें इस गाड़ी को चलाना अलाउड होता है इसलिए मैं 15 साल की उम्र में दूसरी बार चला रही हूँ ये गाड़ी। तो आई थिंक कश्मीर में ये बहुत अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी है क्योंकि मैं खुद हिमाचल से हूँ और वहाँ पे ज़्यादा ऐसे मोटर स्पोर्ट इवेंट्स होते ही नहीं पर यहाँ पे ऑर्गेनाइजर्स RPPL और गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत मदद की है इस इवेंट को रन करने के लिए जिससे बहुत पॉपुलैरिटी मिलेगी मोटर स्पोर्ट्स को एंड आई थिंक कश्मीर से भी और ड्राइवर्स बन सकते हैं यहाँ के शो रन को देखकर।
I'm driving Rotax Senior, car number 62. This goes about 125 on the straights and it is 32 horsepower car and it feels really very great to be driving over here in Srinagar and I would like to thank RPPL and
Welcome back, and it's time to now shift our focus to everything that's happening in the markets, and there's a lot happening over there. Now, volatility is to persist on the Lal Street as the tug of war between bulls and bears intensifies after an excruciating last week where small cap index saw close to 50% of its market cap eroded. Is there actually more pain ahead? That's what you want to understand at market opens today morning. Now, are the test results by mutual funds a cause of concern? And what are the global cues you need to watch out for in this trading week ahead? Of course, I'm not the expert, but I have Stacey here with me. Stacey Pereira from Money Control joins us for the very latest. Good morning, Stacey. You are all smiles, but what is that black color? Is that talking about how things might not be looking quite bright this Monday morning?
Absolutely, Sonal. It's good to be back on CNN News 18 firstly, but the markets, yes, that might not be that cheerful, we could say, because of what we saw last week. Let me take you through at least, the week that was and wasn't something to be remembered for. Now, if you just look at the benchmark indices, we did see the Nifty close to down about 2%, the Sensex also seeing sharp cuts there close to 2%. So both the benchmarks seeing those major cuts, but that's not the whole story. The bigger pain was actually in the mid cap and small cap indices, which took huge cuts, you could say 4% and more for the mid cap, whereas the small cap saw really a bloodbath, you could say, of 5.31%. Down and about in last week's trade. But where did all of this really start from? It is what we are seeing, come out from Sebi, which is the regulator for the markets. Sebi came out and said that maybe these mutual funds that are investing into small caps, they need to rebalance, they need to recheck where really this money is coming from, and maybe they need to reallocate those portfolios. And which is why they spoke about a froth that was building up in this mid and small cap indices. Now, that's what pushed them to ask these mutual funds to go ahead and conduct what is called a stress test. Now, as of March 15th is when these mutual funds had to come out with the results of these stress tests. And this is because if you have to just take a comparison of what the Sensex has given in terms of the returns versus the BSE small cap index. Now, all of If you to just look to 2023 till about February of this month, we saw the Sensex giving somewhere close to 24% returns, whereas the BSE small cap index, that one saw an exponential 74% returns, which was a bit of concern, saying, you know, is there some overvalue or froth building up really? Now, with these stress tests, what really has happened? The stress tests are called because Sebi wants these mutual funds to do this test to see how far and how available that liquidity or cash is within them. So, what they really need to do and give out is the number of days it will take them in order to liquidate about 50% of that portfolio. Now, the results have come out. Most of them have shown that it would take anywhere an average for a 50% liquidity for a mid-cap fund was somewhere about 14 days, whereas for a small cap fund was 14 days, whereas for a mid-cap fund was somewhere around 6 days. So, that gave somewhat of a figure of where these mutual funds really stands when it comes to mid and small cap, and that's really going to also be the reason where you're going to see this rotation now in people's portfolio, where they might be looking at large caps instead of these mid and small caps. So, that rotation is likely to happen, and which is why you're seeing this kind of pain. But besides what is happening in our markets, there are also cues that are there otherwise that we could be looking out for, right, for in the global sense of what is happening. This is a really crucial week when it comes to what central banks are doing in the larger scheme. About 14 central banks are going to be taking their interest rate decisions this week, and most important of them, of course, is the US Federal Reserve, which will be conducting its FOMC meeting on Wednesday. Now, this is going to be really important because if they do give some kind of indication of where we are in terms of those rate cuts, that is the biggest cue that everyone is looking out for. So, you have the rate cuts from not just the US Federal Reserve, but the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, all of that we will be looking out for. So, that will be a great indicator. You also have crude oil prices. Now, that is something that has been ticking higher all of last week, touching those $85 per barrel mark, which is for an important country like India quite something to be watching out for. Even though we've just seen those petrol and diesel cuts that the government announced, we still have a higher crude oil import amount. So, that is going to change our fiscal bit as well. So, all of those cues that we need to be watching out for, but for the market purely today, it is going to be a day for direction to see where the markets are headed. Are they just assimilating all of this data that is coming in? You also had the election, the schedule that came out over the weekend. That is something that could go on to cheer the market, hopefully. So, we are going to see what direction that gets. But for now, this week is more of a caution week for the markets, where it's going to just wait and watch and see that direction. And of course, for all the important insights that you're going to get into the markets and all those actionable ideas that you would need, your premier destination, of course, for all investing views and for all your financial insights that you ever need to go for is, of course, the Money Control Pro, which is brought to you by Money Control. Back to you, Sonal.
All right, thanks Stacey for all those details over there, and she rightly pointed out you can log on to moneycontrol.com and also subscribe to Money Control Pro to stay ahead on everything that's happening in the markets. All right, after all that stress, let's talk about something sweet, shall we? The Indian-European Free Trade Association trade deal that was signed recently has now given access to a number of products, including Swiss wine, Swiss chocolate, and watches to Indians at a much lower price. So, this news came in some time back, but we weren't really clear about how much of a price difference will this really make. So, we did a detailed report in Money Control to understand how much of a drop will your Swiss chocolates really take. Take a look.
Hey, wait, that was my last chocolate. I was saving it from the last 2 months. My sister just got it from her Europe trip. But wait, I heard that soon we will have access to high quality Swiss products like watches, chocolates, biscuits, and that too at cheaper rates. Yes, you heard it right. Thanks to India's trade pact with the European Free Trade Association or EFTA. So what all will be covered under the deal, and how much cheaper will premium goods like Swiss chocolates, wines and watches will become? Let's find out in this video. India recently inked a significant trade and economic partnership agreement with the EFTA bloc. This comprises of 4 countries, namely Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. But can this trade deal easily impact a common man like you and me? See, the highlight of this agreement is the phased out custom duties on imported goods, particularly from Switzerland. This move will pave the way for Indian consumers to enjoy high-quality Swiss products at more affordable prices. Just imagine indulging in those delicious Swiss chocolates without burning a hole in your pocket. On chocolate products, coffee, olives, apricot, and many other products, the duty cuts will be done in a staggered manner, spanning across 7 to 10 years. When it will be brought down to 0. This of course will happen in equal installments over the time duration specified for certain goods. So suppose today if you're getting the Lindt Swiss Classic Milk Chocolate at Rs 350, over the period of 7 years the cost will come down significantly as the current 30% duty will be phased out, making this yummy chocolate much more affordable in India. But other than the duty cut, this imported goods also attract freight and insurance charges. So if the piece of a watch is suppose rupees 46,500, you can see reduction in the price of watches by 20% that come from Switzerland, that can include Rolex or Tissot. Now let's talk about wine tariffs. For bottles priced less than $5, there will be no concession. However, for those priced between $5 and $15, duties will gradually decrease from 150% to 50% over a period of 10 years. It's important to note that while many products will see duty reductions, no concession have been given on Swiss gold. But that's not all. The agreement also includes tariff concessions on a wide range of products imported from Switzerland, including seafood, sweets, processed foods, among others. These concessions will lead to a gradual drop in prices, making these products much more accessible to the Indian market over a specific period of time. Seems like a trade pact is set to reshape the landscape of trade between India and the EFTA bloc, offering consumers a wider range of choices at more competitive prices.
Right, 20% dip in price is not bad, I say. So watch out for your next big shopping parade over there. But here in Mumbai, there's some good news, though it's little, far ahead of us. Some good news for travelers. Now, we all know how the Bandra Kurla complex and the entire BKC area is so heavily stuck with traffic all the time. There could be a solution coming there. Mumbai is all getting set for pod taxis. What exactly are they? Now, pod taxis are to operate between Mumbai's Bandra and Kurla via the Bandra Kurla complex, and they're small, electric, driverless vehicles and have limited carrying capacity, just about 12 to 13 passengers, and they are all on an elevated exclusive corridor. So we obviously took a deep dive into what exactly is it going to be all about, and will it really offer solutions here in this traffic heavy city of Mumbai.
On 5th March, the Maharashtra Chief Minister office posted this video on X. As per the post, Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde approved the project of pod taxis, which will run between the Bandra station and Kurla station through the Bandra Kurla complex. Pod taxis is a public transport system that uses small electric and driverless vehicles designed for limited passengers. The pod taxis will cover 8.80 km from Bandra station to Kurla station via BKC. They will have 38 stations and will be capable of carrying 6 passengers per pod. However, the question arises, why did the authorities decide to introduce this form of transport between Bandra and Kurla? So let's find out. If you look at the map, Bandra Kurla complex lies between Bandra and Kurla. The BKC is a planned and important business district in Mumbai, built on reclaimed land. BKC is home to the National Stock Exchange, Sebi Bhavan, Diamond Bourse, the US Consulate, Geo World Convention Center, 5-star hotels, international schools, public and private sector banks, NBFCs and several commercial and government offices. As per reports, 4 to 6 lakh commuters travel to BKC for work daily. Unfortunately, these lakhs of commuters either get stuck in traffic or make their way to work on foot. Let me explain how. The majority of commuters prefer local trains to reach BKC. These commuters get down at the railway stations closest to BKC. There is no price for guessing, they are Kurla and Bandra stations. Travelling from these railway stations to BKC is a big task for commuters. In the case of Kurla station, there is a bus depot right outside west side of the station. However, the frequency of the best buses from Kurla West Station Road to BKC is limited. The other option is auto rickshaws, whose rates are much higher than the best buses. Plus, the route from Kurla West to the BKC is narrow. So if you are travelling by bus or auto, you will always encounter heavy traffic. In the case of Bandra station, the situation is much worse. The eastern side of the Bandra station is surrounded by slums. Plus, best buses used to ply between Bandra Station Road to the BKC, but now best buses operate from a depot near the Bandra Magistrate Court. That means if a person wants to travel by bus, he first has to walk about half a kilometer from the Bandra station to get a bus. The biggest problem for commuters who travel to BKC from the Bandra east side is the auto rickshaw drivers. The auto rickshaws that run on meters deny fares to BKC because it is a shorter route. On the other hand, shared auto rickshaw drivers hike the rates during the peak hours, drives recklessly and does not provide last mile connectivity in BKC. Auto rickshaws are the primary cause of traffic between Bandra East and BKC. As a result, to put an end to the woes of the commuters, the Maharashtra government has decided to introduce a pod taxi between Bandra and Kurla via the BKC. And if you see the decided route, it is the same one from where commuters travel from Bandra and Kurla. In addition, the BKC will soon have 2 separate metro lines, Metro 2B and Metro 3, passing through it, along with the upcoming bullet train station. Hence, having pod taxis will help commuters get last mile connectivity within BKC. Before Mumbai, the pod taxi service is set to be planned in Noida. A 14.1 km corridor will connect the Jewar airport with the Noida film city. Before India, the pod taxi service was already used in countries like Japan, South Korea, the UAE and the UK.
Not bad, I say, though the reality of it seems to be a few years away for us, both in Mumbai and Delhi. With that, it's time to take a look at what else is happening around the world this morning.
The US Supreme Court unanimously declared that public officials may face lawsuits for blocking individuals on social media platforms. This decision, shaped by the contentious social media activity of former US President Donald Trump, establishes that officials are considered state actors online and can be held accountable for their interactions with the public in digital spaces. On a remote Antarctica island, mice which were introduced 2 centuries ago are breeding uncontrollably due to climate change. These mice feed on the seabirds, both chicks in their nests and also adults, despite it being a fraction of their size. Conservationists are launching a massive extermination effort using helicopters and tons of poison to protect the island's unique biodiversity. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un drives a Russian luxury limousine gifted by Russian President Putin. The Urus car underscores deepening ties but also sparks controversy due to UN sanctions. Kim publicly showcased the limousine, highlighting Putin's influence since 2018.
All right, on that note, it's a wrap on this Monday edition of the Breakfast Club. We'll see you again. Take good care of yourself and have a super day. Bye-bye.
Event, really grateful, and first time Formula cars are going to be driving around Srinagar. It'll be very exciting and very fun, and the locals will love it.
All right, the locals clearly love it. It was all happening on the Boulevard Road, on the banks of Dal Lake, and we obviously want to understand more about this. But what exactly is Formula 4? We have all heard about Formula 1, the Grand Prix, which is about racing and happens in the best of locations across the globe. But let's get in a few more details from Ishan now joining us from Kashmir. Good morning, Ishan. How are you? You clearly, I keep saying this every time we go to Ishan, has the best job in the world, gets to the most beautiful, gorgeous places, and now doing some adventure sports as well, right there in Srinagar. So Ishan, take us through what exactly happened and how did it unfold?
It's a spectacle to see and something which you remember forever because there are fast cars, then there are noise that the engines make and fast rowing. And when it comes to Kashmir, it's the Dal Lake, the iconic Dal Lake, where these cars and these bikes perform not only stunts but also showcase their skills. What exactly is Formula 4? It's not a championship, it's not somewhere where you get rewarded, but it's a junior entry level where it was created in 2014 to give an edge to the youngsters who want to drive fast and want to perform in the international circuit. And this is precisely being done to give that growth. When it comes to Kashmir, there are several career options, but can you ever think that the driving cars and the driving fast cars can become your career option? And that is why exactly this particular event was organized, to tell people that there is life beyond the career options that they are thinking about, and also to promote tourism. Yesterday, even Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted those images of Kashmir, where he tweeted these pictures of cars on the banks of Dal Lake of the Formula 4, saying that Kashmir is somewhere where these events would happen, and more often these events should be held in Kashmir Valley. Now, Dal Lake needs no introduction, and when it comes to Dal Lake, there are tourists flocking it every day. There were locals, including youngsters, young and old, who came there to just witness that, because there are beautiful and majestic Zabarwan mountain range which cover Dal Lake, and then there are little snow that's covering that particular part of Dal Lake where this event was organized. So all those even drivers were left, very, they were happy that they came to Kashmir and they got to perform and show their skill to a crowd which was cheering them all along, and something which they had not expected, because Kashmir comes like a different name. It comes with a different tag. But now, since the situation is improving, the government wants to ensure that they go with a different skill and they show what Kashmir has to offer. Because remember, G20 was one platform where the government tried to showcase all these things to the international, people who came to Kashmir. But now is the time when they also want to showcase the other side to the masses across the globe and also in India, to tell them that you can come to Kashmir and also see, apart from what the beauty has to offer, and kind of things like these will definitely bring boost to the local economy and help in boosting the tourism as well.
You're right, and also it's so lovely to see women drivers over there participating and saying that they are locals. They've been practicing in Himachal Pradesh and they just hopped across and participated here in Kashmir. So quite fascinating. The visuals were there, a lot of attendance as well. So I'm sure this is a first of the many others that are about to come. Thanks, Ishan, for joining us with the very latest. In a first, a roaring show of Formula 4 was held in the beautiful Kashmir Valley on Sunday. Renowned Formula drivers also enthralled spectators. The visuals will do the talking over here, so let's just play them out straight away for you. But this was a first of its kind where
A very good morning to all our viewers. You're watching the morning news on CNN News 18. I'm Anjali Pandey, here to take you through all the latest news and developments from across the nation and around the world. And we're starting off this bulletin with some rather unfortunate news that is coming to the fore from Kolkata. A 5-story under construction building collapsed in Kolkata's congested Garden Reach area late Sunday night, and what we're learning is that till now 14 people have been recovered from this place, but 2 people have unfortunately lost their lives due to this accident. So this is the latest that is coming in from Kolkata, wherein in an unfortunate incident, a 5-story under construction building collapsed late last night, and in fact 14 people have been recovered. The rescue operation is underway, but 2 people have unfortunately lost their lives. Let's take a look at this ground report from Kolkata.
Suddenly in the middle of the night, an under construction building collapsed in Garden Reach, and right now we are in the SSKM hospital where some of the injured people have been brought. What we are coming to know that 14 people till now have been recovered, and 2 women, they are casualty. There are 2 casualty till now, but there is an apprehension that more people can be stuck inside the building, under the collapsed building. So right now this is the hospital where a couple of people have been brought. Some of them are very severely injured. That's what we are getting it from the sources. Some of them have been transferred to ICU. Definitely the people who are there, they're that side, but nobody just wants to talk to anyone now, because suddenly in the middle of the night this incident has taken place. And this is a very shocking incident. The CP, the Mayor of Kolkata, the disaster management team is working under there. They are working in war footing, but the fact is 14 people have been recovered. There is an apprehension more people can be there. And right now in hospital 2, number of people have been brought here. Near about 14 people have been recovered, and 2 are casualty. That's the shocking point. How many people recovered? You were there also the night.
13 is recovered, and 2 dead bodies has been brought. So and the search operation is going on. We expect some more trapped inside the debris. So we are, our full team is there.
Chief Minister has called you.
Now my Chief Minister called after having, I am whole night here.
Yes.
So I have to be fresh and then go to the Chief Minister.
So 5 lakhs for the dead and 1 lakh.
5 lakhs for the dead person, for their family, and 1 lakh for the injured to their family.
And strong action will be taken against.
Yes, of course.
वो कूद नहीं 11:55 में बिल्डिंग धस गई।
अच्छा, कितना दिन से हो रहा था बिल्डिंग?
वो कूद नहीं, एक बैग धस गया।
हाँ,
एक बैग धस गया।
फिर उसके बाद में आप लोग क्या गए वहाँ पे? आप लोग गए यहाँ पे, क्या देखे?
देख रहे हैं तो आदमी फंसा हुआ, उसके अंदर कई आदमी मरा है। 3 आदमी स्पॉट डेथ है, बाकी कितना छपा हुआ है उसमें।
आपका क्या नाम?
अभी तो 10-12 आदमी उसमें छपा हुआ, मिस्त्री है और भी लोकल आदमी है।
And CNN News 18's editor East Kamalika Sengupta is joining us live from Kolkata. Kamalika, what are the latest details? Is the rescue operation still underway?
Yes, absolutely. The rescue operation is in war footing, and this road leads to that spot. And right now, all the roads to the spot has been closed by the authorities so that the rescue operation takes place as fast as possible. There are 50 members NDRF team also working there, and what we are coming to know that a lot of more than 14 people now have recovered. Some have got first aid and has been released from the hospital. That is also latest development that we are getting. But there is an apprehension that 8 to 9 people still are stuck inside. What we are getting it from our NDRF sources, as they are in touch with the people who are stuck inside, and they are in conversation with them. So that is the situation on ground. 2 casualties. Obviously, all the senior officers of police, the mayor of Kolkata with whom we spoke, the disaster management, the fire minister also there. But definitely this is a very shocking incident in the middle of the night. It took place. We'd like to talk to some of the people. भैया, क्या हुआ कल रात को यहाँ?
हम तो रात में थे नहीं, मॉर्निंग में पता चला मुझे कि बिल्डिंग गिर गया। बस
जाके देखे, आप क्या देखे?
हाँ देखे, गिर गया बिल्डिंग, और कुछ नहीं।
कितना दिन से हो रहा था ये बिल्डिंग?
ये मुझे आइडिया नहीं है। उधर हम जाते नहीं, मेरा घर यहाँ पे, हम उधर जाते नहीं। काम पड़ता तब जाते हैं, ऐसे जाते ही नहीं है।
पर गिर गया बिल्डिंग, वो सुबह आपने जाके देखा?
हाँ, सुबह में जाके देखा।
So people out here is also in a state of shock. Definitely, all the people are there here, but most of them are not very much interested to. As you can see that the NDRF team, they are also working in war footing. We will try to talk to them. Sir, how many people have been recovered? कुछ अंदर फंसे हुए अभी? हाँ? अब नहीं बोल सकते. So everybody is at their work, and definitely this entire area has been in and around, it has been sealed and nobody is allowed to go inside. But definitely the administration, what we are coming to know, that 5 lakh has been declared for the dead and 1 lakh for the injured. But the question definitely rises, this is a very dingy area, that how this happened, because in the middle of the night that entire building, that under construction building, that fell on the jhopris out there. So people who actually are the victims, they are very poor people. So definitely that's a very shocking incident. But right now what we are coming to know, that more than 14 people right now have been recovered, and there is an apprehension that 8 to 9 people more may be stuck inside. In 3 hospitals people have been taken, some have been released after first aid.
All right, Kamalika, thank you so much for all those details. We'll keep coming back to you for more updates on this story. As of now, we have some more breaking news coming in. And according to RJD sources, Tejaswi Yadav already had a meeting with Congress leaders in Mumbai related to seat sharing, and he won't be coming to Delhi and would be going to Patna at 1 p.m. and the seat sharing formula is likely to be announced in a day or two. So this is regarding the RJD Congress seat sharing. Tejaswi Yadav already had a meeting with the Congress leaders in Mumbai related to the seat sharing between the two parties. CNN News 18 Saurabh Rathore is now joining us with more details on this. Saurabh, what more details do we have about the meeting that Tejaswi Yadav had with the Congress leaders?
See, earlier it was decided that Tejaswi Yadav had gone to Mumbai to take part in Rahul Gandhi's, ending Yatra program there. And then he would had gone to Delhi to attend a meeting with the Congress, RJD and the left party are going to meet, is what, according to our sources, is telling us. But Tejaswi Yadav is certainly not going to attend that meeting because he had already met Rahul Gandhi, Mukul Vashnik, who were present in Mumbai, and he had a word with them regarding the seat sharing. So he is going to return to Patna at around 1 p.m. But a meeting will still take place today, which will be a crucial meeting as far as the seat sharing of the India Alliance in Bihar is concerned. On the other hand, we are also learning that PM Nitish Kumar will leave for Delhi, and he is also going to meet
right.
with
Saurabh, also, can you tell us how many seats are each party seeking, if we talk about the Congress and the RJD?
What our RJD sources are telling us is that they are, because they have a strong hold in the state of Bihar and they are acting as a big brother in the state, so they are claiming maybe they are vouching for 28 to 30 seats out of 40, and they are ready to give 7 to 9 seats to Congress, 3 seats to left parties. But the Congress is not agreeing on these terms, and this is the reason why the delay is taking place. And Congress is in fact demanding that a single-digit seats won't work, and they are demanding that at least 12 seats should be offered to them because of the impact of Rahul Gandhi. Remember, only one MP who won the election last year in 2019 Lok Sabha poll, and 39 seats went to NDA. So